Sorry about that. Had a little bit of technical difficulty there. So we're going to come out, back up to the actual start point that we set up. Be sure that we're set to first waypoint. And put him on the road.
10-4, I'm on it.
We'll stick with him here for just a minute, make sure he goes where we want him to go. I don't see there being an issue of any kind. Always, when I purchase the fields at the beginning of the game, I always start off by plowing everything. Once I hit it with lime, whether it says it needs it or not, and then I actually lay down the oilseed radish, and I'll come in and mulch the oilseed radish as soon as I'm done with that, and then that'll give me my first stage fertilizer, my mulch state for the field, and all I'll need to do is come back in when I seed and fertilize with the seed as I go, and that'll give me both states of fertilizer, especially on grass. That's super important, which is what this field here is actually going to wind up being, is grass. And because you only really get one good shot at grass, because all you're going to do is cut and fertilize after you get that first state in, and that way you know you've got a good base for your grass after that. So I'm going to run over and we're going to go pick the other Steiger up. It happens to be up at the store right now. Other quad track. And I told him to back into the barn. Shouldn't have. I hadn't set my... I generally, every time I do the... Every time I set my store up, I will actually take and create a single spot here that is, and I always name it store return. And that way when I buy something new, I don't have to worry about getting the tractor there. All I need to do is hit the store return, and it'll run over here, and all I have to do then is hook it up and head it back. And what I'm going to purchase now is I need to get the mulcher. I'm using the Big Dalbo mulcher behind the Steigers. I color code it red. I'm using the working speed mod so we can get stuff done a little quicker. Like to set the folding mechanism a little quicker on this. Usually set the color on this to the case red if it's available, and we're going to wind up using the Starman Satin, and that's going to allow us to differentiate it from the standard Dalbo roller, because they're I think they use the same model to save themselves a little bit of trouble and time, which is fine with me. It's just a matter of, if you don't color code them, it makes it hard to tell which one's which once you get them back to the main barn. Again, I mentioned this before in some of the earlier videos. I actually create a return line. This particular map I've created 3. RT1 is going to be return line 1. That gives me a spot where the tractors can return to the main headquarters yard without having to have a specific spot to send them to. So I tend to use the 1050 Fendt tractor for my mapping. They actually, it just drives so stable that it makes creating your auto drive with it considerably easier than using, let's say, a pickup or something, because the most important thing is your stability when you're creating your auto drive courses. Need to do this right quick. I just noticed something while I was going through here. I haven't created my entry for my entry for the main silos from this direction yet. So we'll just knock that out while we're here. No time like the present. So the next thing we want to do is we want to come over here, and we want to create our entry and our exit from this side of the headquarters yard. I tend to do a 2-way map for this. Let's go ahead and delete those. Turn off. And we're going to start it with a 2-way path versus a 1-way path. The other thing about this tractor being as stable as it is, you can actually go a lot quicker when you're setting your roads up, where if you have something that you're having control issues with, it'll create problems in your paths. try to do everything I can to limit the number of data points I use with AutoDrive. You've got to have so many of them for it to work correctly, but wider turns use less than sharp turns. If you'll listen to the clicks, you can actually hear that. And the other thing is I've actually been experimenting ever since I started using AutoDrive in FS19 with alternative ways to create the intersections. So you can create an intersection to a two-way road like these, the blue line. In other words, you can bi-directional roadway, that's the word I was actually looking for. But when you're using a bi-directional roadway, you can actually, when you're going into a unidirectional roadway, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So I know that I need both directions going right and both directions going left. Now, conventional wisdom says that you lay out a single line for a right turn, a single line for a left turn, in and out on both sides. So, but what you can actually do is if you swing a little wide, which you're going to want to do anyway, till you straighten out here, pick your line up here, and you're going to come all the way over. If you don't get run over by the traffic, shut down. Now you've taken half the data points and created pretty much exactly the same path as you would have using unidirectional turns right and left. It works going either direction. Again, if you have a unidirectional roadway there, you really don't have a lot of choice in doing it the other way. But when you're coming out into a roadway like this from a two-directional path, you can bridge right here, and bridge right here, and you've actually got your complete path right there. So, and half the data points to do it. Again, everything that the map has to create is an extra tax on your machine. My machine seems to run Farm Simulator without issues, except for when I hit the auto save complete there. So there is a very well laid out headquarters farm on this map. I tend to create my own, just more out of a sense of I want to do it the way I want to do it. Although the way that this map's actually laid out is pretty close to what I tend to do on my own anyway. Now, I want to be sure and do both my entry and exit here, and what I'll do is I'll actually use the main road to get to my next point. Did it again. I keep auto drive settings to where I actually have to do the connections manually. When you open it out of the box, it actually comes with auto connect start is the setting you're looking for. And what it'll do is, so like, let's say if I were to actually start this path here, it would actually auto connect it. I tend not to do that again because I guess probably because I'm a control freak more than anything else, but I want to do it the way I want to do it, and the only way to ensure it's the way I want it is to do it myself. Again, we're going to do the same thing here, just like we did over there on the other one. Pick your spot. You want to try to make it as neat as you possibly can. Yeah. I don't like that curve, so you can actually right click and drag those points wherever you would like them to be. The style of gameplay, I guess, that I subscribe to is, I think it would probably be a fair statement to call it corporate gameplay, i.e. it is more along the lines of a corporate farming situation than and for those of you who didn't notice, I just ran over that car. Always fun for me how dad blame it, how tough the cars are in this game. You can have a semi-load of something on and hit a car and just stop you dead in your tracks, or a tractor with 30-40 tons of equipment on it, and you hit a Hyundai and it it'll actually pretty much end you right in your tracks. Almost always swing a little wide for this stuff. It just makes it well, it makes it easier in the trucks and stuff. Crop over here on the right is actually poppies. That's actually they had that in 19 and never really played with it in 19. I probably will not play with it much in this map here. The other thing that this map has that's very interesting is hemp, and I'm wondering if what kind of productions are going to be coming out for the hemp to allow us to enjoy that. And again, I bring this up every time I bring up the hemp. It's hemp, not marijuana. There's a botanical difference as well as a, shall we say, THC quantity difference. And hemp was probably one of the best cash crops in the world until and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was probably the 20s or 30s. And of course, there's so much stuff with American companies actually being involved in legislating things. Some of us have seen the Reefer Madness movies from that time period where they were demonizing marijuana, and I don't partake myself, but those who do are welcome to. As far as I'm concerned, it's really no difference than alcohol. It has some of the same effects. People always like to make it sound like it's a gateway drug, and you know, there may be some truth to that, but I believe that if you're predisposed to abuse, then you're predisposed to abuse, and there's really not a whole lot can be said other than that. So if I remember right, and I am correct, this little road just kind of wanders down in here and stops. So there's actually a river down here in this bottom, and I'm going to actually install a pumping station down here, and to do so I'm going to have to reclaim a little bit of this section down here in the bottom. For those of you who haven't used the editing tools yet, you'll get a little bit of a primer on that. And the plan is to come down here by where this creek is, and what we're going to do first is probably go down there and get rid of that one tree. Normally what I would have actually done is probably have gone and gotten the tree be gone that I have in my tool, but I actually have the easy dev controls on here, and if I'm not mistaken, I should be able to, well, nope. Let's go easy dev controls. Should be a delete objects. This is there we go. That's what we wanted right there. Now then I should be able to go boop and make that tree disappear. So now then we're going to go with the construction. And what we're going to do is flatten out from the pond there. You can set your strength and the first thing you do on stuff like this is you need to get it flat enough where you can actually have enough room to run your trucks and things in here. I'm going to run over here and jump in the tractor again just to get it out of the way. Right there. And we're going to go back into our construction stuff. Now, what I try to do here is I'm going to do some, make it as strong as we can, big as we can, give me a square. Now, to do what I'm autosave. To do what I'm attempting to do here, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this back almost to the road there. And then we're going to use this new ramping tool. By the way, this is an absolute godsend for this game. And then come back here as far as we can. And then we're going to ramp that all the way to there. Just to make it all match. Then we'll come in with our smooth tool, smooth all that down. We're going to do the same thing over here. What we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to make this smaller. We're going to make it round. And we're going to change this terrain here so it's not all square lines. Then we'll come back over here, make this big again. Powerful as we can get it. And then we're going to come back in here and smooth all this out, which is going to make it look a little more natural. We're going to come back over here and grab this one again. We're going to try to get back to the same spot where we were before. This time we're going to come back in here like this. And that's what happens when you screw up. Now the point of doing this is I want to create a realistic water loading point. And I want to paint a little bit now. Let's go with this gravel texture. And sculpting. Big as we can make it, as strong as we can make it. And we're going to run over this again. One more smooth pass. Now then, back to paint. The other thing you have to be super careful with on doing what we're doing here is I need to get in here and actually buy this field, because if the field updates while I'm doing this, it'll actually revert all of that work back to the cotton field that it was before I started. So that's probably the big danger to actually having the edit anywhere mod turned on in your game is there's always that chance that you would actually forget to turn or forget to purchase the property that you're working on. And if that's the case, what'll happen is it'll actually revert it to whatever it was before. And we're going to grab our gravel texture over here. Right there, I believe. Nope, that ain't it. There we go. Switch this over to round. Go down one size. And we want to paint this in with the new gravel texture. Just making everything match. The one thing this map does not have that I really wish it did is a really good concrete texture. Because what happens is like here in just a second, I'm going to want to create a concrete pad for my pump that I'm adding. And since I don't have that, I'm going to wind up using one of the patterned concrete textures that comes with this map. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to decoration. Excuse me. Production, buildings, tools. If I'm not mistaken. Nope, not in tools. Container maybe. There it is. That's what we're looking for. This is a Papa Smurf mod. Actually a really well created pumping system. Just drop it down there. Come back and paint around it so it matches everything. Like so. And then I'm going to want to go with a concrete texture. See if I like that one. No, I do not like that one. Let's do this one. There we go. Let's try that one. We laid these out before we had put our texture down, so we're going to move it over a little bit. And this really needs to be a one-way in, one-way out path. Again, you could go back and grab the truck and lay it out with the truck, but I think you're probably just as good off to do it with the tractor. Again, because this tractor is so stable while you're driving, it makes laying a path out much easier. We're just going to name this water west pump. Now that's actually laid out. We're done with that. And we're going to go ahead and create this other path back here. Just since we're here, you might as well. This is one of the logging paths. Again, if you haven't taken a look at this map, there's a lot of logging here. We're going to run a little late tonight because we've had so many technical difficulties getting started. I think it would only be fair to let us run a little bit late. Guys, I'm no expert at this game. I've been playing since 17. Enjoy the game immensely, and I also enjoy helping folks. So if you've got a question or anything, don't hesitate to drop it in the comments, and if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely try to find it out for you. And there's too much about this game for any one person to know it all. And one should never be ashamed that they don't know the answer to a question. They just need to be willing to try to do a little research and find out what the answer to the question is. tend to lay these roads out and just stay with it until I come out on another main road, which is coming up right up ahead of us here. Again, I'm gonna make another one of the one-way road exits there. Again, so what you need to do is catch where you got two that are close enough together there, and try to make it as smooth and as natural as you possibly can. If you can do this for all of these entrances, it actually will save you a bunch of data points. And the problem with the data points isn't the fact that you have to create them. The problem with the data points is it's just more data for your system to process. So if you can keep that low, you're going to come out much better with less load on your computer. Let's run over here and take a look at the plow, see where we're at on that. Go check on that big tractor and make sure it's not stuck somewhere or hung up. Usually you'll get an error message when that happens, but it doesn't always work that way, so we'll go check. There he is right there, and looks like he's getting it wrapped up. And probably what we're going to do as soon as we're done with this one is go back here, and I think we're probably going to join 24, 19, 22, and 24.
Weather update. Please be aware rain is coming.
Now we're going to do 22 and 19. And we're going to go ahead and buy 24. We're not going to join it though, because we're going to lose a road if we do. So let's go back and we'll take a look here. Yeah, we're finishing up nicely there. And again, that's going to be all grass when we get done with it. We're going to go grab the Jetco seeder right quick and get it all set up to go ahead and put our oilseed radish down there and get it rolled in. Actually, we need to start this fella here to the shop. And we're just going to go ahead and jump over into the... Don't teleport all the time because to me it takes a little something away from the game. Grab this Jetco uniport, enter the vehicle. Go ahead and hop in the other 1050 and we're going to start it down towards the shop also. Go ahead and grab our spreader.
Hey boss, all done with this job. Over.
That's a big 10-4, good buddy.
Pick up another auger wagon here. And we want to make sure that the one that we grab will do seed and fertilizer. go ahead and make sure we're well, folks. I think we've got done all we can get done for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and hook these up and get them moved up to the main farm. We're gonna do use the big spreader here for our lime, and we're gonna use the auger wagon to pick up a big load of seed that we can go and drop in the Jatco and get it started. Rather do bulk seed. To me, that just seems like it makes a little more sense. And thanks for hanging out with me here for a little bit. And I hope to see you again next Sunday. I'm going to try to do this at 7 p.m. every Sunday. And hopefully we can educate a little bit and enjoy each other's company. Have a great week. See you Sunday.